This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive. I'm not even angry. I'm being so sincere right now. Even though you broke my heart and killed me and tore me to pieces and threw every piece into a fire. As they burned, it hurt because I was so happy for you. Now these points of data make a beautiful line, and we're out of data, we're releasing on time. So I'm glad I got burned. Think of all the things we learned for the people who are still alive. Go ahead and leave me. I think I prefer to stay inside. Maybe you'll find someone else to help you. Maybe Black Mesa. That was a joke, haha, that chance. Anyway, this cake is great. It's so delicious and moist. Look at me still talking when there's science to do. When I look up there, it makes me glad I'm not you. I've experiments to run. There is research to be done on the people who are still alive. And believe me, I am still alive. I'm doing science and I'm still alive. I feel fantastic and I'm still alive. While you're dying, I'll be still alive. And when you're dead, I will be still alive. Still alive. Still alive.
Hey, Jinx and Germs, it's Niff. It's been one hell of a ride, but all good things must come to an end. Community, and I'm very thankful to have had the privilege of having been part of it in its infancy. I made many great friends along the way. People I've had conversations with that have made me laugh, made me cry, angered me, and ultimately even made me think. I helped others, and they have helped me. I am completely thankful for each and every one of those experiences. Even in the midst of this global pandemic we faced, I like to think that we've gotten as far as we have, many of us, because of LuigiGhost. Be it the AI itself, for any of us that actually cared to pay attention to it, the playlists that each and every one of us helped curate, even the community full of its many interesting characters. While the community is not yet dead, the central hub that initially brought us together is over, unfortunately. Watching Luigi run through level after level, sometimes seeming like an epic noob who can't even jump over a single Goomba, to an epic speedrunner, I was excited. Most of us were. It was fun. It was exciting. and watching it with everybody, trying to guess when it'd finish. I started in this community, just like most anyone. A nobody, some rando that just happened to find a Mario AI playing Super Mario. As time went on, one streamer ended his run. Just shortly after another, a well-respected member of the community started his own. Becoming a moderator for LuigIO was huge for me. For the longest time, I felt it wasn't really deserved. Still don't sometimes. But I wouldn't trade the experience for anything. The decision to end it wasn't exactly an easy one for any of us. As we discussed it, we said it was for the best. I would like to hope that we get folks who carry on the torch, as I know a few in the community have considered doing. Some are even working on their own AIs to demonstrate. It's really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the future brings for them. So in the end, I say thank you, each and every one of you, and let this not be goodbye, but instead just the beginning of a new chapter for all of us. May we never forget the time we spent together.
Heyo, everybody, LuigiO. It is me, Bejeweled LuigiGhost. I'm also known as Gloom, or in a lot of other things, as basically everyone calls me. Sometimes I'm called M, sometimes I'm called 6100M, Bejeweled LuigiGhost, whatever the heck I'm called. I'm sure a lot of you know me, and I wanted to take the time to talk a bit before this stream dies. I wanted to talk about a few things, primarily, I'm not going off script. I wanted to talk about just how great the community's been over the years, and just how glad I am to have been a part of it. It has really meant a lot to me that everyone has been so kind to me in this community. I really want to thank everyone for that. I want to thank Aljo, Ryu, Tough Fluffy, Electra, Nathan, and all the boys for putting up with me and always being there for me. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a moment where they've not actually sticking up for me. In fact, even when I've been a bit of a butt, they've still put up with me. I thank you guys so much for that. I want to talk about a little bit. I want to thank Nathan, who, by the way, his love of Final Fantasy has always inspired me, and just his kindness has always helped me keep forward, and even in my darkest of times. And same to Eljo and Agisame and Ryuna and a lot of the other guys. I want to thank you all for making this such a great community and for accepting me into your community. I just want to talk about a few funny stories that have actually happened. So there was once a really funny time. It was about an hour before Aggie woke up. I always knew when he'd wake up. And that hour before he woke up, we did something really funny. So typically sometimes when I'm sitting on Discord or YouTube streams, my tummy will rumble. And when that tummy rumbles, I know that I'm hungry, and then I'll give whatever first food comes to mind, and it was SpaghettiOs. Lo and behold, I see LuigIO by, and I freaking ate it, because I wanted to eat SpaghettiOs, and it was just hilarious. It's always been great to be in the community, and I remember all the great times of just how we'd push LuigIO forward, trying to help it get past a level. And there was one time where I just wanted to get on the stupid spring. It took literally, I was there for 9 hours just cheering LuigIO on. And yeah, and that's just how much I give a frick about LuigIO. Seriously, all you who hear me right now, I give a frick about you all. I actually do give a crap. I do care. I'm really gonna miss you all, as we all slowly part and leave our separate ways. I want to thank everyone for being a really great friend to me. And it's always been really great for you all to be a friend to me, and it's always been great that I actually have had a community that's actually a really good friend with me, and the fact that I have virtually never had a bad moment in the community, and the fact that I've actually had a community who actually gives a crap about me. I really want to thank you all for actually putting up with me and just caring about me and making this community fun for me. I don't know where we're gonna go at this point, but wherever we go, I promise we'll probably definitely stick together until the end. Really want to give you all a hug. I want to thank everyone for sticking with me, and you guys are all really, really good friends, and I'm gonna try to make this last. I probably don't even know if I'll even be there for the very final stream, but I'll try to record it. I need you. I love you all, and I want to thank you all for for just being a great community to me and being a really good friend to me. Till we meet again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gloom signing off.
It all started with a simple AI, Mario, on a simple stream. 0 viewers when I first found it. I remember one night I asked a question about the AI in the empty chat, and I didn't get an answer. The next morning, I wasn't the only person watching. Other people had found the stream. It was nice. We all watched the AI struggle on one niche to Super Mario Bros. That is the earliest I remember, and at the time, I didn't know how much of an impact this AI would have on my life in general. I remember trying to keep the chat in a pleasant state long before I became a moderator. Emphasis on trying. It was tough. I did get a little easier once I got that sweet blue wrench by my name. I still had no idea that the stream would become such an important part of my life, even though I watched it 16 plus hours a day. Oftentimes I would be up all night, only because I just couldn't miss that one breakthrough that would lead to victory. What else would I be doing? Something productive? We all know that watching an AI die by the same Koopa 500 times or fail to jump the last step of its staircase is way better than being productive. Days, weeks, months, even years went by. It all slowly became less about the AI and more about the people, the community. Some newcomers would join, most of them would leave shortly after, but some kept coming back, becoming familiar faces. You were never alone, always someone to talk to, getting excited when the AI finally figured something out. It was truly amazing. I never wanted it to end, and honestly, it didn't feel like it was ever going to. But you know what happened next? We got the announcement that the Mario stream was going to end, and it hurt. Realizing that what I had come to love was going to end. Just like that, it was hard. So we tried to gather as many people as possible for the final countdown. And it was not a disappointment. Almost everyone was there, even some who left a long time ago. We shared our memories of the stream and chat. We laughed and cried. It was truly magnificent. We watched as the screen faded to black, and then kept talking some more. One by one, people left the chat for the last time. The stream was over. From the ashes rose another AI, an improved version of Mario. Its name was LuigiGhost. A new era for the community we built had begun. A new chat with the same familiar faces. I am forever grateful to Akisame, who decided to keep it going. I always knew it wasn't going to go on for all eternity, but I'm glad it didn't end with Mario. I'm glad we still kept talking every day. I made friends for life, and I have all of you to thank for that. I've had my fair share of disagreements with some of you. At times it would turn ugly. I'm not proud of those moments. But I strongly believe that they also made us stronger as a community in the end. Of course, I would rather see that they didn't happen at all. But whenever I lost my temper, someone would intervene. Tell me to take a breather. Walk away for a bit. That shows compassion. You know what I'm the most proud of? The fact that we care for each other. We truly care. It's not just something we say. It is shown almost every day that we want to see our friends here succeed. We want to see them happy. There's always someone who will listen to you if you need it. Someone who can give a friendly advice. I never believed that family necessarily has to be by blood. Family is the people who look out for you, who always want what's best for you. I feel like I got that here. With the LuigiGhost stream ending, all those memories we shared came back to me. All the late nights, all the fun times we had. I even got to meet Akisame and Yuki in person, which I would never have believed when we first started talking on the stream. We made friends here. Some even met the love of their life. I wish you all the best, Yuki-sama. Truly deserve each other. I just couldn't let it end without writing some of my thoughts and saying a farewell. So with these words, I thank you for the wonderful time we had together. You will always hold a special place in my heart. The stream might be ending, but the community will live on.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here, huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction. Aperture science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive. I'm not even angry. I'm being so sincere right now. Even though you broke my heart and killed me and tore me to pieces and threw every piece into a fire. As they burned, it hurt because I was so happy for you. Now these points of data make a beautiful line, and we're out of data, we're releasing on time. So I'm glad I got burned. Think of all the things we learned for the people who are still alive. Go ahead and leave me. I think I'd prefer to stay inside. Maybe you'll find someone else to help you. Maybe blackmail